What would happen if the Earth stopped spinning for just 1 second? Would we barely notice it as a slight jolt, like when a train comes to a sudden stop? Or would it be such a devastating event that civilization would be pushed to the brink of annihilation? Welcome to Astroracle, where we explore the vast universe together. Most of the time, when we think of global catastrophes, we imagine giant asteroids, volcanic eruptions, or climate change. And to be fair, all of those are valid threats. However, we rarely stop to consider something as ordinary and seemingly unchangeable as the movement of our own planet. The Earth spins tirelessly, day and night, at a speed we don't even notice. And yet, that very motion is what keeps everything in check. Now, imagine the unthinkable. That rotation coming to a halt, even for just 1 second. Have you ever thought about that? We live on a planet spinning at a speed that goes completely unnoticed. At the equator, the surface moves at roughly 1,670 kilometers per hour. We don't feel it because everything on Earth, the air, the oceans, ourselves, are moving at the same speed. It's similar to being on an airplane. Even though the aircraft may be flying at 9,000 kilometers per hour, inside you can walk around casually, even hold a glass of water without spilling it. Everything is moving in relative motion, traveling along with the plane. But what would happen if that plane suddenly stopped midair? The result would be a brutal impact. Well, that is exactly what would happen if the entire planet came to an abrupt stop. And the consequences would be far worse than just a jolt. If Earth's rotation were to suddenly halt, everything not firmly anchored to the ground would be hurled eastward at the speed it had been moving before. Picture skyscrapers, cars, trains, entire oceans, and even the outermost layers of the Earth's crust sliding uncontrollably. We're not talking about a person being thrown a few meters. We're talking about colossal masses of water and rock being launched with unimaginable violence. The immediate consequences would be on the scale of a global cataclysm. The oceans, which have always moved along with the Earth, would continue racing forward at more than 1,000 miles per hour, even after the planet itself stopped. This would unleash colossal wave tsunamis as tall as skyscrapers that would devastate coastlines and surge hundreds of kilometers inland. Coastal cities from New York to Tokyo, from Buenos Aires to Cairo would be submerged within minutes. No barrier could ever contain such a rampaging torrent of water. But it wouldn't be just water in motion. The Earth's crust, that thin layer on which we've built our cities, would also bear the brunt. Huge sections of ground would tear apart, releasing accumulated energy in the form of massive earthquakes. We're talking about simultaneous seismic events on every continent, shattering highways, buildings, dams, and power grids in the blink of an eye. Geological faults that normally take centuries to release their tension would all do so at once, in a deadly dance of destruction. And there's more. Let's not forget that the atmosphere also spins along with the Earth. If the planet were to suddenly stop, the air would continue moving at the same speed. This would mean winds of more than 1,600 kilometers per hour, 10 times stronger than the fiercest hurricanes ever recorded. No human-made structure could withstand them. Entire cities would be torn apart by these colossal winds, which would hurl debris, vehicles, trees, and even fragments of buildings through the air, turning them into deadly projectiles. In just a few moments, the world as we know it would become unrecognizable. Water swallowing cities, earthquakes tearing continents apart, winds obliterating everything in their path. Infrastructure would collapse immediately. There would be no electricity, no telecommunications, no roads. Airplanes would plummet from the sky, ships would capsize, dams would burst. Civilization itself, as we know it, would lie in ruins in less time than it takes to blink. I know it may sound exaggerated, but unfortunately, that's exactly what would happen. And what about human life? What would happen to us? Could anyone survive such a cataclysm? In theory, people near the North and South Poles would have a higher chance of resisting. There, the rotational speed is practically zero compared to the equator. They wouldn't be hurled away with the same force, and the tsunamis might not strike with the same intensity. Even so, the resulting world would be so hostile that survival would be nearly impossible. Agricultural systems would be destroyed, freshwater reserves contaminated, and the global climate irreversibly altered. But what if it stopped slowly? What if instead of a sudden jolt, the Earth gradually slowed down, eventually creeping to a halt? This would also be fatal. The Earth's rotation is what creates the day-night cycle. If the planet stopped turning, one hemisphere would be locked in constant sunlight, while the other would be trapped in perpetual darkness. On one side, the heat would be unbearable, with temperatures capable of evaporating entire oceans. On the other, the cold would be so extreme that life itself could not endure. The atmosphere itself would collapse. Hot air would accumulate on the sunlit side, while on the dark side it would freeze, unleashing storms never before seen. In short, even if it happened slowly, the outcome would still be the end of civilization. All of this is not just some free science fiction exercise. It's based on very real physical laws. Inertia is what keeps objects in motion until a force stops them. If the Earth suddenly halted, nothing could instantly stop the energy carried by the oceans, the air, and the Earth's crust. That energy would have to be released somehow, and it would be in the form of cataclysms. It's important to underline that this scenario is purely hypothetical. There is no known natural force capable of suddenly stopping the Earth's rotation, but thinking about it helps us understand just how fragile our balance is, and how incredibly fortunate we are to live on a planet that works like a perfect clock. 1 second. That's all it would take. A moment as brief as the blink of an eye. If you're enjoying the video, give it a like, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so YouTube can let you know when we upload a new video. If the Earth were to come to an abrupt stop for even the briefest moment, the result would be global destruction. There would be no time to react, no safe refuge. Civilization, with all of its achievements, technologies, and wonders, would be completely swept away. The next time you watch a sunrise or sunset, remember that such a scene is only possible thanks to the rotation of our planet. And as long as the Earth keeps spinning, we keep existing. Because if it ever stopped, even for just 1 second, it would be the end of everything we know.